In a lawsuit filed Sunday, Zapier alleges that her duties for Project Veritas extended to a particularly debauched boat party for young Republicans. After buying hundreds of dollars worth of alcohol for the party, Zapier alleges he was left frantically purchasing cleaning supplies when attendees defecated on the floor. What is it with the right to far right and poo? What is going on there? Also, I've been to a lot of wild parties. I've been to boat parties. I've been to raves. I've been to music festivals. I have seen all the drug and I've seen all the booze be consumed. I've never seen a moment in a party where everyone is like, all right, boys, drop trow and just release. Now is our time. This is a weird story, everybody. You know Project Veritas? That organization that basically does trolling IRL and gotchas and catfishing and then tries to pass it off as journalism. And then sometimes some people will try to defend it because they're like, well, they ultimately do break stories, but then they will oftentimes maybe incriminate themselves in the process. That Project Veritas, led by James O'Keefe, the same guy who's trying to do a musical of his life and tried to book it at a Vegas club. But then I guess someone must have talked to the Vegas club and asked them, why exactly are you platforming this figure? And then they said they had no idea who he was. And then that venue ended up canceling James O'Keefe. And I don't know if they've rescheduled for somewhere else. But either way, that same one, he's actually in some trouble right now. So... Employees of Project Veritas, a conservative media organization known for publishing undercover videos, filed 2 lawsuits Sunday alleging illegal business practices and accusing leaders of fostering a sexually hostile work environment. The class action lawsuit filed by Antonia Zapier, Nick Guaya, and Dan Choi of the U.S. District Court in the Southern District of New York alleges that Project Veritas failed to pay them a minimum wage for hours they worked overtime in violation of the Fair Labor Standards Act. Zapier additionally says that she was fired from Project Veritas after she was sexually assaulted and harassed by Michael Spadone, a field director for the group, according to another lawsuit she filed in the same courthouse. She alleges in court documents that her termination came after she rejected Spadone's entries to spend weekends with him at his home for sexual liaisons. And then she describes a highly sexualized workplace and sexually hostile work environment at Project Veritas. Zapier, 61, was an administrative assistant at Project Veritas for 2.5 years. The Hills reached out for Project Veritas for comment. In a statement to the New York Times, Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe described Zapier as a disgruntled former employee, called her claims a range of made-up falsehoods. Project Veritas is known for undercover sting operations and so-called exposés, often targeting media organizations such as CNN, The Washington Post, in an attempt to paint them as biased and left-wing activists. Project Veritas has been accused of deceptively editing videos and making exaggerated or false claims in content. The media group is embroiled in a legal battle over the Times article the newspaper published about a video accusing Representative Ilhan Omar of voter fraud, which the Times wrote as deceptive. O'Keefe himself was raided by the FBI last year when a diary from President Biden's daughter, Ashley Biden, ended up in his hands, Politico reported, although Project Veritas has never published anything about the diary. The class action lawsuit filed Sunday alleges Project Veritas failed to pay the 3 former employees overtime work, even if they worked sometimes 60 hours a week. Even after submitting the timesheets, the plaintiff alleged that they were not paid for even 1 hour at the minimum wage rate. In Zapier's lawsuit, the former employee describes a toxic culture of drinking, sex, and drugs at Project Veritas, alleges that drinking on the job and drug use during workdays and nights were rampant. Zapier alleges she was frequently subjected to verbal harassment from Spadone, who oversaw the journalists and went out to the, I love that journalists in quotation marks, who went out into the field to capture videos. He alleges Spadone sexually assaulted her at a December 2021 Christmas party while she was drunk and high on marijuana, according to the court documents, coming up behind her on the dance floor and touching her inappropriately. Zapier discusses the incident with multiple colleagues, who she says found it amusing. She ultimately never reported the alleged assault to Human Resources. The advances continue until March 2022, according to the lawsuit when Spadone allegedly asked her out on a sexual liaison. Is that how you worded it? Really? Wow. I guess that's kind of like old-timey, eh? It's like, hey, baby, you want to have a sexual liaison? No, I don't. Zapier declined the invitation and, despite receiving high accolades on the job, was fired the following week. The official reason Zapier's termination was a sarcastic voicemail she left for a caller about a year prior, which she said was dug up by Spadone's investigative department. Zapier also alleges Spadone made frequent sexual advances towards other women, and at O'Keefe oversaw a culture at Project Veritas that objectified women. Not surprised in the slightest at any of these accusations. Just seems exactly what I would have expected. The lawsuit said Zapier was also expected to be on call 24/7 for O'Keefe. She tolerated being woken out of bed by work calls and to driving to headquarters on notice at night in her pajamas in order to bring O'Keefe copies of the apartment key, since he frequently lost his keys. Plaintiff did so despite feeling unsafe at the headquarters, arriving alone with no security at these hours. Zapier has seen $7 million in emotional and punitive damages. Now, where's the part about the poo? This was for the Daily Beast. Conservative operative James O'Keefe hosted a raucous party. Is it raucous? It's raucous, right? Sorry, I know my pronunciation is always abysmal. But I want to become better. I just talk too fast for my own good. Raucous. A raucous party.
It's a loud, unpleasant, a noun.
Raucous.
Okay, a raucous sound.
Raucous. I'm going to say raucous. It's a raucous party. Conservative operative James O'Keefe hosted a raucous party for young Republicans where guests pooped on the floor, according to an ex-employee. Her new lawsuit paints O'Keefe's Project Veritas of ripe with sexual harassment and workplace drug use. I want to learn about the pooping. An administrative assistant for conservative undercover group Project Veritas, Antonia Zapier, had some unusual responsibilities. She claimed she would be woken up in the middle of the night because Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe had lost his apartment keys or asked for fake O'Keefe's signature onto thousands of copies of his book after donors paid $200 each to receive signed copies. And then there was a time, Zapier said, she had to buy supplies to clean up a boat after partygoers at an event hosted by O'Keefe relieved themselves on the floor. In a lawsuit filed Sunday, Zapier alleges that her duties for Project Veritas extended to a particularly debauched boat party for young Republicans. After buying hundreds of dollars worth of alcohol for the party, Zapier alleges he was left frantically purchasing cleaning supplies when the attendees defecated on the floor. What is it with the right to far right and poo? What is going on there? Also, I've been to a lot of wild parties. I've been to boat parties. I've been to raves. I've been to music festivals. I have seen all the drug and I've seen all the booze be consumed. I've never seen a moment in a party where everyone is like, all right, boys, drop trow and just release. Now is our time. You know, we got to stick it to the libs. All right. We got to actually fucking plop it to the libs right now. Circle up, boys. It's time. Like, what the fuck? The boat excrement scene is just one of the... Can you imagine being the fucking writer of this article? All right, how do I'm gonna need a thesaurus for poo. Stool, fecal matter, excrement. Okay, good, I think we have enough. Oh, I gotta talk about it again. Oh, shit, all right, we need another one. The boat excrement scene is just one incident alleged in a federal lawsuit Zapier filed Sunday against Project Veritas. The allegations was also include an abortion, a near-fatal drug overdose, pornography, and secret sexual recordings portray a conservative group running out of control under O'Keefe's leadership. It's like Animal House, said Zapier's attorney. Zapier was fired from Project Veritas. In the lawsuit, she claimed she was fired after rejecting the sexual advances of Project Veritas field director, Michael Spadone, who she claims also sexually assaulted her. Project Veritas encouraged a culture of employees sleeping with each other and constantly drinking, using drugs, and partying together. The Daily Beast sent Project Veritas a list of Zapier's allegations. Instead of addressing them individually, the group replied with a mass email sent to Project Veritas supporters that claimed Zapier was fired for unprofessional and inappropriate behavior in the workplace, citing a year-old voicemail recording in which Zapier spoke dismissively to an aspiring tipster. Project Veritas has filed its own lawsuit against Zapier, and in an attempt to discredit Zapier's complaint, Project Veritas' statement also pointed to the fact that Schwartz once worked as a lawyer for Acorn, the progressive community organizing. Oh, so yeah, you are associating with the group that we did the undercover expose. Makes, yeah, totally, yeah, okay. Complicating the fallout over Zapier's firing, Zapier's husband once threatened a Project Veritas staffer with a gun, according to the lawsuit, after the staffer insisted on taking a shower at Zapier's home. While Zapier named a number of Project Veritas employees as witnesses or perpetrators to the incidents mentioned in the lawsuit, the Daily Beast was unable to independently confirm her allegations. The alleged hostile work environment for women at Project Veritas went beyond Zapier. According to the lawsuit, the complaint describes a workplace rife with alcohol and drug use and sexual relationships, including one man described as a superior engaging in daytime drinking and sexual activity in the office. All of the alleged relationships could have consequences. When a Project Veritas fundraiser impregnated a woman described in the lawsuit as a subordinate, he paid for her abortion. After O'Keefe was told about the abortion, according to Zapier, the employee remained in his position. Funny, because they make some very strong language towards abortion and forced birth, but I guess it's one of those for thee but not for me kind of situations. O'Keefe perpetuated the sexual treatment of women at Project Veritas, according to the lawsuit. In the court filings, Zappia claims required Project Veritas undercover operative to familiarize themselves with both the book and the movie version of Red Sparrow, a story about female Russian spies using seduction to gather intelligence. O'Keefe allegedly described good-looking Project Veritas female agents as pretty young things, or PYTs. See, this is what I suspected, because I don't know if you know, one of Project Veritas' big exposés on CNN was they catfished a whole bunch of CNN reporters. They also did the same thing for people working for, I want to say, like a pharmaceutical agency, but it would be they catfished them. They go on multiple dates, and around the third or fourth date, they start recording everything after everyone's been plied with liquor and everything, and I'm sure the flirting is, gone past. They start saying, like, so, can you tell me about anything bad that happens to your company? And they then leak that to the world, being like, we have this new expose on CNN. Look at this. We catfished them. And asked his employees to flag private social media messages from women so he could respond to them personally. The complaint also alleges that O'Keefe disparaged individual women's bodies, describing one woman as a train and nicknaming another Belle because she was shaped like a Liberty Bell. In one of the lawsuits, more startling that this is such a fucking James O'Keefe insult too. You look like a Liberty Bell. I want you to look like Lady Liberty. Zappia claims O'Keefe secretly recorded phone calls with his then-girlfriend, another conservative media personality. Zappia alleges O'Keefe shared the recordings with other Project Veritas employees, even though the audio files featured O'Keefe and the woman discussing their sexual activities. Zappia also alleges that pornography appeared in the Project Veritas office, albeit with some accidentally. The lawsuit claims O'Keefe once inadvertently played a pornographic video in front of roughly 75 staffers during a presentation. Zappia also saw pornography on O'Keefe's computer in another incident when she entered the office to put something on the desk, according to the complaint. Like, why? No, seriously, why? I enjoy porn. Porn is fun. But why in the office? I don't get it. And why just playing all the time? Are you just sitting there with like a half chub, constantly like frustrated? Like, oh man, edging in the office. Yep. Yeah, really, really sexually frustrated right now. Yep. This is very enticing pornography, but yeah, just let it run in the background. Porn at Project Veritas was a point of dispute between the parties even before the lawsuit was filed. In May email to Project Veritas, lawyer later released by the group, Schwartz, Zappia's attorney, wrote that the witnesses to James O'Keefe watching porn in his office with the open door. Maybe that was like to try and entice people, I don't know. And Zappia is telling the unusual activities of Project Veritas weren't limited to its office in New York. She claimed the group, registered as a tax-exempt nonprofit with the IRS, rented a corporate apartment that became a frat house for drinking, sex, marijuana, and parties, with O'Keefe sometimes appearing there himself. Zappia alleges one of the group's undercover operatives nearly died of a drug overdose at the apartment, prompting his boss to question other Project Veritas employees who witnessed the drug use. Attempts to rein in Project Veritas culture were quickly quashed, according to the lawsuit, when a female attorney started to document potential human resource violations, including workday drinking and a superior having an inappropriate sexual relationship with a much younger subordinate. O'Keefe allegedly accused her of spying on staffers. According to Zappia, O'Keefe worried that the news of the lawyer's inquiry would reach the media. The lawyer was fired, the lawsuit claims. Humans gonna be human, O'Keefe replied when confronted with the issues documented by the lawyer, according to Zappia's lawsuit. Zappia's attorney Schwartz predicted that the allegations about the inner workings of Project Veritas were starting to come out, saying Zappia's lawsuit could have a snowball effect. Schwartz has also filed a potential class action lawsuit against Project Veritas over wages. This was a highly trusted person. So, what we may have uncovered, because this is all alleged, is that this culture of, let's just say, antics in Project Veritas, which includes a whole bunch of drug use, pornography, really flies in the face of Project Veritas, CPAC, conservative values, traditional family values image. Seems a lot more like we always seem to find out that the right, while they want to be puritanical assholes and condemn people for enjoying things in life, which can be fun, by the way. Drugs can be a blast, so can sex, so can pornography. If it's all done consensually and safely, these things can be fucking awesome. And so on one end, the conservatives are going to sit there all day being like, oh, sinful, debased, this is we're losing the fabric of society. Meanwhile, they're fucking playing porn in the office, hosting orgies, and shitting on the floor. All right? I don't kink shame, but I think that one is even too hardcore for me. Why are you all shitting on the floor? Fucking circle up, boys. What the fuck is that about? Why did you shit on the boat? And why are you making your employees clean it? And also, On top of all of this, you are motherfuckers who are not paying fair wages to your workers. You're not paying them overtime. Of course, it all makes sense. Like fucking all these puritanical assholes will talk about how abortion is a sin. It's one of the greatest sins that has ever existed in human history. No one should get an abortion. And now, allegedly, is fine with their employees getting abortions for the impregnation of subordinates. Allegedly. Of course. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, everybody, this is how you should live. We really want to condemn you for not living this way. And at the same time, we're going to do every single thing that we say is sinful and horrible. So fuck all that. I've heard that in the opposite direction, that like it's the left that are puritanical because we're like, oh, apparently we're not allowed to use incorrect pronouns and dead name people, and you want to control our language and free speech, and we're not allowed to say the N-word anymore, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's very different if you want to oppress minorities, if you want to go after people and make their lives miserable. That's different than me saying what you do in your private life. That's different than me saying what you should or should not do in the bedroom. That's me saying whether or not you should be able to have anal sex, whether or not you should be able to have sodomy, whether or not two men should be able to fuck. That's a very different thing than saying, hey, by the way, stop being an asshole to other people and making their lives miserable. If you want to go off and have drug-fueled orgies, go have your drug-fueled orgies. That's very different. Do you understand? I mean, not surprising at the end of the day. Again, allegedly. It's alleged. We do not know. We do not know if any of this is real. Could all be part of the great lie, great deception. Could be part of the great reset, you know? Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we are prepared to embark on a mighty jihad in your name. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble jester, attempting in vain to get you to laugh. To our valiant knights of the Round Table, Benji Arnie, Tech Tink, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Mayred, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood. It doesn't matter what I believe, it only matters what I can prove. Egbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Jenna Tao, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevbot, EXE, Brian Ephraim, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Catherine, Ramona Costa, Incosin, Agent NDN, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our mugs and salute our brave heroes off to another glorious conquest.